And you don't mean democracy, because Sadiq Khan, of course, is the elected mayor of London 3 times.
Which
so what are the British values?
Very odd in my opinion.
Well, of course it's odd in your opinion, because your opinions are based on falsehoods and misunderstandings.
In this clip, you're about to watch James O'Brien do something that almost never happens in modern politics. He doesn't just argue with a caller, he tests him. A Nigel Farage supporter phones in, absolutely convinced that British values are under attack. And his entire belief is built on a lie he picked up from social media. Before we jump in, tell me where you're tuning in from, and remember to like and subscribe. Your support helps the channel grow and keeps these stories coming. So here's the setup. A caller from Durham rings in, excited that Nigel Farage is back and promising to put so-called British values first. He doesn't like Keir Starmer, he doesn't like Rishi Sunak. But Farage? Farage has that Boris factor, that emotional hit, the feeling that he's somehow more authentic and more patriotic. That's the sales pitch. James O'Brien does what almost nobody on TV or radio does anymore. He doesn't just nod along and move to the next talking point. He stops and calmly asks the most important question of all. What are these British values you keep talking about? Not slogans, not vibes, actual values. And as soon as he asks that, the whole thing begins to wobble. Instead of answering with things like free speech, democracy, or freedom of religion, the caller veers straight into a culture war fantasy. He talks about going to Dubai and respecting Muslim laws, then claims people are coming to Britain and refusing to respect our way of life. And from there, he makes the jump that tells you exactly where he's getting his information. He insists that Sadiq Khan is pushing Sharia law in London to please his Muslim voters. That's the moment the trap quietly snaps shut. James doesn't shout him down, he doesn't insult him. He just keeps asking simple, precise questions. Which rule is being changed? Where? What exactly do you mean by Sharia law? When did Sadiq Khan say this? And with every follow-up, you can hear how shaky the caller's certainty really is. We'll roll the call now so you can hear it in full, and then we'll break down exactly how James exposes not just one man's confusion, but the entire pipeline that turns online memes into political truths.
James is in Durham. James, what would you like to say?
I'm delighted that he's back, if I'm honest. I think it gives people another option because, quite frankly, looking at Keir Starmer and Rishi Sunak, I wouldn't really fancy voting for either of them.
Well, you don't live in Clacton, so you already had a option in your constituency to vote for reform.
Correct, yes, but it wasn't with Nigel at the helm. I think.
So what does that change, do you think?
I suppose he gives a bit of the Boris factor. I wasn't a fan of Boris at sort of
then
the
why would you want the Boris factor then?
Because he's backing Britain.
Who is?
Nigel.
How?
Nigel. He's putting the British values there first. And
so can you talk? I love that phrase. I like it a lot, actually, James. Can we go through what you think they are?
Yeah. So if I go on holiday to Dubai,
I want British values, not theoretical holidays. That. So what are British values?
This is what I'm about to say. Will you let me finish?
Of course.
If I go to Dubai, I respect Muslim laws. I will fully respect it. You don't drink in public. You're not allowed to walk around with your top off if you go through the hotel lobby. But I find it funny that you're getting a lot of people that are coming over here who don't want to follow the British values of respect, looking after the society, looking after your home. They're coming across and wanting to change our rules.
So, for example,
how we live. Well, I think Nigel's pretty.
And which rules? Give me an example of a real person trying to change a real rule.
Well, you look at Sadiq Khan. He's implementing a lot of rules that a lot of his Muslim voters are wanting.
Like what?
The one in Sharia law.
Sorry, Sadiq Khan has introduced Sharia law.
No, he would back Sharia law.
Where do you get that claim from, mate?
He said it.
You think Sadiq Khan has said that he wants to introduce Sharia law?
He would back it.
Okay, what do you think?
That was on the table.
What do you think Sharia law is?
I'm not going to get into that. You know what Sharia law is.
Well, I know that on things like divorces and domestic disputes, some people are happy to have their cleric, if you like, sit in a form of adjudication, but that can't be what you're objecting to. So what is it you think Sadiq Khan has publicly backed that you're troubled by?
No, I'm saying that Sadiq Khan would back Sharia law.
Yes, but what do you mean by the phrase, in that context, what do you mean by the phrase Sharia law? Because if you're saying that he would back something, I don't know, like chopping people's arms off for shoplifting, then you'd have to be able to provide some evidence, wouldn't you?
But okay, we'll go back a stage.
No, let's just pick off. Let's just deal with one bit of the conversation at a time. The claim that Sadiq Khan. I mean, all you've talked about is Muslims. So when you say British values,
yes,
you don't mean freedom of religion.
No. Anyone can.
You don't mean freedom of
religion.
worship. You don't mean freedom of expression.
Absolutely fine.
And you don't mean democracy, because Sadiq Khan, of course, is the elected mayor of London 3 times.
Which
so what are the British values?
Very odd in my opinion.
Well, of course it's odd in your opinion, because your opinions are based on falsehoods and misunderstandings. For example, Sadiq Khan supports Sharia law. So let's just pick up on where that idea took seed in your mind or your memory.
So Sadiq Khan is a Muslim.
Yes.
So, of course, he would want Sharia law because it acts as a code for living that all Muslims should adhere to.
Oh, I see. So you've got so there is absolutely no recorded evidence of Sadiq Khan saying what you're saying.
Well, no, he has said...
This is what all Muslims believe.
Yes, but why? This is a Christian country.
But that's freedom of religion, then.
But it's not. You can have the right to prayer, but why should we introduce a law?
But no one is introducing that. This is
the
thing that you're going to have to, I guess, either stop saying this or provide some proof.
I have. If you want to, I can. If I had the time, I'd find the clip of them.
Take all the time you want.
I'll send that clip in.
No, stay on the. Don't go now. Just tell me when it was, what he said, what, and what you think he meant by Sharia law, and what it is you're scared of.
I'm scared at the fact that we are talking about introducing a Muslim law.
No,
Christian country.
James, only you were talking about that.
No, I mentioned
I have Sadiq Khan on this programme every month for the last God knows how many years, and he's never once mentioned this. You've been on for 2 minutes and you can't shut up about it. So where on earth are you getting this evidence from?
You're the one who's spinning this now.
Mate, I just need to warn you that everyone can hear you.
Absolutely.
Right. So where is your proof, or where did you get the idea that... I mean, it's supposed to be a conversation about Nigel Farage representing British values.
Yes, and that's what I was getting onto. So when you asking me about,
we can't get onto that yet, because we just need to establish when and where Sadiq Khan spoke out. I mean, he's been mayor of London for years. Why hasn't he introduced it?
Because I imagine he would have very great troubles introducing it.
Well, that would be one answer to the question. The more obvious one is that he's got absolutely no desire to do so whatsoever, which is the point at which you proved to me that he does.
It was a post that was going around social media, which had a quote alongside of Sadiq Khan saying that he quoted that they are trialling the law in 3 of London's boroughs right now.
Yeah,
and they will roll out in the remaining 30 years.
What research did you do into that social media post?
It was on the Daily Mail.
No, but what checks did you do on it?
Well, how can you check something when?
Right, do you want me to show you?
Okay, you go ahead.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you a question, which I promise you isn't patronising. But do you know what Reuters is?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so an internationally respected news organisation.
Yep.
So while I've never heard this claim about Sadiq Khan before. I'm 99.999% confident that it's complete rollocks, right? And the only time I ever hear things like this is when people tell me that Nigel Farage defends British values, and I push them for some proof. I push for some proof or some evidence or some explanation. And you tell me that, for example, Sadiq Khan. I don't know what this has got to do with Nigel Farage, but hang on, because I'm just teaching you how to do fact checks. All right. So you tell me that the Mayor of London wants Sharia law to be imposed in London, and you mention a social media meme or quote, and I can find while talking to you, this isn't the BBC, I've done it all myself while talking to you. In fact, people watching on YouTube will be able to watch the process of me just simply Googling a few of the words you've said in this conversation. And up pops Reuters from July the 1st, 2020, saying, fact check, the Mayor of London did not say Sharia law is being imposed in London. Let me read some of it to you. Social media users are sharing a quote attributed to the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, implying that Sharia law is being implemented in London. This claim is false. The Mayor of London's press office has confirmed that the quote, which misspells Sharia, is fabricated. Posts showing the quote alongside a picture of Khan have hundreds of shares on Facebook, including you, I imagine, right? The quote attributed to Khan reads, "We are trialling Sharia law in 3 of London's boroughs right now. We will then roll it out in the remaining 30 next year."
Correct.
I mean, it's illiterate, James.
What? So you're saying that was on Reuters that was proved to be wrong?
And it's false.
Okay, well, I'll do what politicians can't do and accept that.
But look how much you've built on it.
But equally, that still doesn't change my opinion of that when you're asking me about the British values, there still is a lot of talk about Sharia law.
Right. Well, there's a lot of talk about, I don't know, anti-vax rhetoric.
Correct.
There's a lot of talk about lots of things. That's freedom of speech, isn't it?
It is freedom of speech.
But you're not opposed to freedom of speech because you're in favour of British values.
Absolutely.
But not all speech should be free.
No, there's a difference. Freedom of speech seems to be one-sided, very one-sided.
Okay, so who doesn't have freedom of speech then?
I'd probably say the white working class man.
What do you want to say that you can't say? You can say it to me, I promise. I'll protect you.
Okay, but what I'm saying is, how do you know that I'm white? You've just assumed that there.
Okay, are you?
I am, yes. But
okay. Well, let's carry on then. What's the thing you can't say that you wish you could?
No, what I'm saying is, when you're on about British values.
No, that was you. I'm just waiting for you to tell me what they are. I'm not going on about them.
No, but you were asking me, and then you're saying in terms of how it's not sort of getting out there and freedom of speech. But how come? And I'm not a Tommy Robinson fan.
Yeah.
But the media was reporting that there was only.
Why aren't you a Tommy Robinson fan?
I mean, I agree with some of his points, but the way that he goes about it, it probably doesn't help.
What points do you agree with?
That we're losing societies.
But we've just established that your main reason for being fearful of Islam is completely false.
I never said that was my main concern.
What's your main concern then?
My main concern is that we, as working class British citizens, are losing a lot of our.
Lots of working class British citizens are Muslim.
And I haven't said anything against that. You're spinning words.
I'm not. I'm just saying, how can you be talking about Muslims and working class British people as if they're different? As if they're different.
I'm not.
Right. So what is the stuff you agree with Tommy Robinson about then? And I do want you to say the stuff you feel that white working class people aren't allowed to say. What sort of thing are we talking about here?
So I'll go back to earlier what you were saying about the boats coming across and what Nigel Farage has been saying.
No, I want you to tell me what you think you can't say.
I'm leading on to that. If you'd let me finish. So,
it's 11:33. I do want to talk to you for a bit longer, but just move on to it as quickly as you can, James.
No, absolutely. So,
thank you.
Tommy Robinson, he's obviously up there agreeing that we're allowing too many illegal immigrants into the country. We're allowing an army of men to come across.
Right.
There's no.
And who's not allowed to say that then?
People get branded different things if you say that.
You're always going to get branded something. I get branded lefty, loony, liberal. I mean, I think they showed a picture of me at Tommy Robinson's rally and encouraged everybody to boo. If you say stuff in public, James, then people say stuff back to you. But you were telling me about the things. You were telling me about the things that you're not allowed to say. You weren't telling me about being branded.
Yeah, you're not allowed to say that we're having too many people come across.
But you just did.
Yeah, exactly.
So how can you not be allowed to say the thing that you just said?
Because then you're shamed for it, saying, oh, well, we need to help them out.
Mate, the Conservative Party, the Labour Party and the Reform Party are all saying that there are too many people coming into this country from overseas. So what is it that you feel...
But the Conservatives and Labour won't do anything about it.
No, but we're talking about them not being allowed to say it. I just want to get to the bottom. In the same way your claim about Sadiq Khan and Sharia law, we got to the bottom of that, didn't we?
We did.
And it was complete crap, wasn't it?
Well, yes.
So now let's try now to get to the bottom of the idea that you're not allowed to say there are too many people coming here.
Because you have the left media who are saying, but we need to welcome them in.
Yeah, but that's freedom of speech as well. So you're allowed to say there's too many, and other people are allowed to say, no, there's not. Just nail me where that problem is for you personally.
We're spending £6 million a day on these illegal immigrants. £3 billion a year.
Yes, and what's the bit you're not allowed to say?
They're coming across.
Yes.
They're getting mobile phones. They're put into five-star hotels.
Well, let's look at that then. Let's look at the five-star. Shall we look at the five-star hotel thing then?
They're in 5 stars.
No, let's look at that. Let's look at that. Let's look at the 5-star hotel. The illegal immigrants in 5-star hotels. Where are they? And where? No, let's go back again. Actually, where did you hear that?
The news.
You heard it on the news. Which news?
Yes. Various outlets.
Okay, and where are the hotels?
You've got the one which is barricaded down. Is it in Plymouth?
Mate, you don't barricade 5-star hotels. They cost about 400 quid a night. What would all the other guests say? That can't be a 5-star hotel, can it?
The government are booking up whole hotels. This is the thing. They're barricaded by the police because of protesters.
But they cease to be hotels when they become asylum centres. They used to be hotels. It's just a name that's given to a building. But I want to focus on the 5-star bit. So can you name a 5-star hotel where illegal immigrants are accommodated?
Yeah, let's have a look, shall we?
Yeah.
If that's the case. So, news article here, thousands of asylum seekers and channel migrants are living in 4- and 5-star luxury at British taxpayers' expense.
Where's that?
One of the 4 hotels used to be a house.
Where is the article?
This is on The Sun.
And where? Just finish that sentence there. One of the hotels used to be.
One of the high-end, rated in the top brackets, detonating class, and some high-end resorts nationwide are booked for months.
Yes.
Home Office officials are sitting refreshing.
So the 5-star hotel we're looking for.
So we've got a 4-star hotel, which is.
And you think that is still a 4-star hotel? That is literally taking guests alongside asylum seekers?
No, because the government.
So it's not a 4-star hotel anymore. If you stayed there, you'd be sharing a room. You'd be told what meals you were having. You wouldn't have access to the facilities that were put in place for guests because most of them would have been closed. It's a bit like, what's the nearest hotel to you, where you are now, James, in Durham? What's it like?
That's probably the Premier Inn is probably the closest.
Okay, well, I was in a Premier Inn at the weekend. So imagine that we took over that Premier Inn tonight and we turned all the rooms into dormitories. We put 2 sets of bunk beds in every room. We got rid of the menu and decided what we'd be serving up every morning and every evening. You'd have a very limited amount of choice, if you like, to what food was available. You certainly wouldn't be able to avail yourself of the bar facilities or anything like that. But the building in which this was happening used to be the Premier Inn. We'd maybe even leave the sign outside that says Premier Inn. Would you describe the people staying there in those bunk beds as staying in the Premier Inn?
Yes.
Oh, well, then you've got me bang to rights, because it's no longer the Premier Inn, according to all of the definitions that gave it that title, in any way, in exactly the same way. That building over there that was once a 5-star hotel and is now an asylum centre is not a 5-star hotel anymore. Do you see that?
Well, okay, so let me flip it round to you. So say you book every single room in the Premier Inn.
Yeah.
Just for you. Is it still a hotel?
Yes.
Exactly. So what's the difference from the government fully block booking a hotel and then the housing?
Because the hotel that I'm staying in is the same as it was last year. It hasn't been turned into an asylum processing centre. We're going to run out of time, and the hotel you've just described costs £48 a night, I'm told. So it's not exactly... It's
probably a lot cheaper than what the government's paying.
Yeah, maybe. So the question then becomes, if you know that the stuff about Sharia law was completely nonsense, you know that there is not a single asylum seeker in this country living in 5-star luxury. They may be, although we failed to find a single one. They may be in a building that used to be a 5-star hotel. And we know that... everything you said about Muslims, essentially, or
I haven't said any. No, you're spinning that.
Okay, right. Scratch that last bit then. Just the stuff. Let's concentrate on the stuff about Sadiq Khan and Sharia law, and nothing about Muslims, and the nonsense about the 5-star hotels. Can you tell me in a sentence or two why, when you put the phone down, you're still going to believe what you believed when you rang in?
Yes, because you're seeing it on the, well, I suppose maybe being on the left and in the media might not see it as much. But
no, we're talking about you. You're going to, because we've established 2 things you believe are not true, and now you're going to put the phone down, and we're going to say goodbye, and you're still going to believe what you believed when you rang in. And I just want, if you could help me out as someone on the left in the media who doesn't know what the real world is like, if you want to put it like that, that might be helpful. Why will you still believe the stuff that you now know isn't true?
Because there's still areas of the United Kingdom that even the police are scared to go to.
What are those areas?
You've asked me in one sentence.
Yeah, but just give me a couple of examples of those areas.
Oldham.
The police are scared to go to Oldham.
No, there's the streets in Oldham. There's streets in Bradford. There's streets in Birmingham that the police.
Why are they scared to go there?
Because they're outnumbered.
By who?
The people that live there.
The police are outnumbered by the people who live everywhere, James. On your street, the police are outnumbered by the people who live there. So who do you mean when you say the police are outnumbered?
But
who are they outnumbered by?
The foreigners that live there.
The foreigners that live there?
Yes.
How do you know they're foreign?
I mean, don't play that. You know they are. It's these areas where they've been swamped. They're not British anymore. They're not. They don't follow the British values. And this is the thing.
And we're back to where we started. What were the British values that aren't being followed? And everything you said turned out to be false. But you're going to go away convinced that these tropes, these lies, these racist stereotypes are all true. But I've got to go to the news. Thank you.
They're not stereotypes.
No. They're all, you've got the proof that they're true, but it goes to a different school, right?
Ridiculous doesn't even begin to cover it. By the end of that call, we've seen the entire foundation of his outrage collapse in real time. The big, scary threat to British values he kept talking about, it wasn't based on a speech, a policy paper, or even a dodgy interview. It was based on a fabricated, misspelled meme that had been bouncing around Facebook and partisan sites for years. And this is the crucial bit that often gets missed. James O'Brien didn't just fact-check him, he exposed the mechanism. The caller wasn't misquoting a complicated policy. He wasn't confusing legal jargon. His primary evidence was a fake quote that Reuters had already debunked. A quote so sloppy it didn't even spell Sharia correctly. That's not an honest mistake. That's manufactured disinformation designed to provoke fear, resentment, and a sense of cultural siege. James walks him through the process step by step. He asks where the claim came from. The caller finally admits it was a social media post, backed up by a tabloid headline. James then cross-checks it live, finds the Reuters fact check, and reads it out. It states clearly the quote is fabricated. The mayor's office has denied it, and the whole thing is a lie that has been shared and reshared to stir up anxiety about Muslims in London. And this is where it gets genuinely chilling. When confronted with the proof, when he hears, in plain language, that the quote is fake, the caller says, okay, I'll accept that, but it still doesn't change my opinion. That one sentence is more revealing than the entire rant that came before it. The fact is gone, but the feeling remains. The story has been disproven, but the emotional impact stays locked in. That's the real danger. We're not just dealing with people who are misinformed. We're dealing with a political ecosystem that depends on people refusing to update their beliefs, even when the evidence is placed right in front of them. Once the fear has taken root, fear of Sharia law, fear of no-go zones, fear of foreigners taking over streets, the original lie becomes almost irrelevant. The emotions live on even after the facts are dead. And notice how quickly the goalposts move. Once the Sharia law claim is exposed as nonsense, he doesn't pause to rethink. He pivots to 5-star hotels, then to illegal immigrants, then to mythical areas where police are supposedly too scared to go, and finally to this idea that the white working class man has no freedom of speech. Each time James asks a simple question, where is this happening? What can't you say? Which hotel? Which street? The caller has nothing concrete to offer. Just vibes, headlines, and hand-me-down talking points. This is the playbook. This is how populist figures like Nigel Farage, and in a different context, Donald Trump, manage to keep entire movements fired up. They don't need detailed policies. They don't need consistent facts. What they need is a constant stream of emotionally charged stories, memes, clips, quotes, half-truths that make people feel under attack. That feeling then gets wrapped in language like British values, or the silent majority, even when the underlying claims are completely false. So no, James O'Brien didn't just win an argument with a confused caller today. He held up a mirror to the entire engine of modern populist politics. He showed how easily a fake Facebook quote can turn into a deeply held conviction about Muslims, migrants, and mayors, and how stubborn that conviction can be even after the lie is exposed. They don't actually need the truth, as long as they still have your fear. So, let me throw it over to you. What was the most shocking part of this exchange for you? The lie itself? Or the way he clung to it, even after hearing the fact check? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this breakdown useful, make sure you hit like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a deep dive like this again. This is Kong Nui Hub.